Lady fellas, Evan Earl Society, welcome to the Fantasy and Reality Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Tacker. Today in the ridiculously over-decorated studio, we're going to be going over the Thursday Night Football preview. But first, as you can see, I'm wearing protective eyewear because from staring at lights for so long, it kind of irritates the eyes. So I'll probably be wearing these for the foreseeable future. That way I don't see a big ring every time I blink for 20 minutes after I'm finished recording. So if you see these on in the next few videos, that's why. But this Thursday night's game has the Philadelphia Eagles traveling west to meet the Green Bay Packers. The Eagles are currently 1-2 and the Packers are 3-0. Last week, Philadelphia was defeated by the Lions by the score of 27-24. After starting out the season with a win, the Eagles have lost the last two of their games. Now on the other side, the Green Bay Packers beat the Denver Broncos 27-16. They're currently first in the NFC North. Now for the Eagles, Carson Wentz hasn't had his best start in 2019 yet. In the first game, he had over 300 yards and 3 passing touchdowns to open the season, but has since only thrown 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the last 2 games combined. He also wasn't 100% after that game against the Falcons. If you remember me talking about his ribs, him coming out for a little while with Josh McCown coming in for most of a drive, then Wentz coming back. So he seems to be doing better, but you never know with health issues. Now, he's still a top 10 QB. I believe he's like number 8 on the ESPN top 10, but if you have better options, I would sit Carson Wentz for this week because, as I said, after week 1, he hasn't quite lived up to what he could be. So he's been a bit floppy and disappointing as of late. So I would probably sit him, especially if I had a better option. Now, he still has healthy options, but it'll be a tough job to go against the Green Bay defense. As far as running backs go, I would start Miles Sanders and I would bench Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard is really touchdown dependent and will only maybe see goal line touches, and we'll see how difficult that might be for them against Green Bay's defense. So they might not get the opportunities for Jordan Howard to be effective. So that's why he would definitely be a bench for me. Miles Sanders will hopefully see the volume, the touches. So if he's the number 1, I'll definitely go with him instead. And the Eagles might be down a lot in this game, which could make the running effectively a problem. So they might have to pass a lot more, almost throw the run game away, game situation, it'll switch. So I'll probably put Sanders at a flex spot just to be safe because, like I said, you never know how that game's going to go. They might have to start throwing the ball a lot, and they don't have a lot of healthy options. Most of their receivers are still injured. Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey will be sits due to injury. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside probably won't be all that effective in this game. The only actual receiver that I would start will be Nelson Aguilar. He had a good day last week. He had a couple touchdowns. So if Carson Wentz can keep on going to him, that would be nice. As far as the tight end, you obviously start Zach Ertz. He hasn't been all that flashy and crazy, but it's still Zach Ertz. He's going to do his thing. And so you'll see his numbers stay where they are. Like I said, not too crazy, but he'll be consistent. And Dallas Goedert might not be as much of a factor on Zach Ertz's numbers. So Zach Ertz will still be a start for me. Now, as for the Packers, you start Aaron Rodgers. It's basically a given. And last week when I talked about him kind of being on the fence, he's still that way. But as for this game, Rodgers would definitely be a start for me because he does well, but his numbers aren't as inflated as in years past. We'll see how the Eagles defense responds to Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things. They have one of the best pass rush defenses in the league currently. So I would bench Aaron Jones. He'd be a sit for me, especially with Jamal Williams taking a bigger chunk of the snap percentage and the carries. It makes me even more nervous to try to start Aaron Jones. He had a really good game a couple weeks ago, so it made you want to start Aaron Jones. But last week, wasn't quite a great game for him. And like I said, Jamal Williams taking a lot from him. So that's what makes it even harder to start Jones. So he would definitely be a sit for me. Now, as for the receivers, Davante Adams is a start, but he's starting to let me down a bit and have disappointing numbers. Last year he was so consistent. He was amazing. But this season, his numbers just aren't what they were last year. You drafted him probably in the first round to be that first round guy to get you the top numbers, but he has not done that yet. So I'll give him another couple tries. I have him in a couple leagues, so like I said, I'll give him a few more chances, maybe a week or two, maybe even 3, but after that, I might have to trade him for someone a bit more reliable or someone in another position so that my team can be a little bit more filled out, because Davante Adams just as of now isn't quite putting up those numbers that you drafted him at to give you back. And for the rest of the receivers, MVS kind of start to separate himself from Geronimo Allison to become basically the clear-cut number 2 behind Davante Adams. So let's hope that continues. I have Marquez Valdes-Scantling as a start and Geronimo Allison as a sit. Now, as for Jimmy Graham, he's probably going to be a sit for me. The touchdowns are too volatile to his production to keep him as a start. He's risky, so unless you have more reliable guys on your team in your starting lineup that you know will be consistent and get decent numbers to have a rounded out team and you can afford the risk, I wouldn't start Jimmy Graham. Both defenses could have big days. They both have high-powered offenses that could potentially go off, so it could be tough to start each defense. Like I said, each of the defenses perform well, especially in the running game. The passing game, they kind of give up a few big plays here and there, so it'll probably be more of a Wentz versus Rodgers game. Let's see how the defense can put the quarterback in a bubble and see if they can keep them there, because like Aaron Rodgers, he likes to move around in the pocket a bit and set up his long giant throws. So if they can prevent him from doing that, like the secondary can hopefully block down, except for Davante Adams, because I would like him to have a big day, as I said. But I think that it'll be an interesting game because it could come down to who's the better passer. And on paper, that's Aaron Rodgers, but he has been shown up before, come up a bit short a few times. So we'll see who wins the battle between Rodgers and Wentz. But to recap, I would start Rodgers, sit Jones, start Davante Adams, start MVS, bench Geronimo Allison and Jimmy Graham. I would start Carson Wentz, start Miles Sanders, bench Jordan Howard, start Nelson Aguilar. He'd be the only receiver that I would start Zach Ertz. So from the looks of it, the starts and sits, as I said, it's going to be a pass-heavy game, hopefully. So hopefully it's enjoyable. We'll see how it goes. But that was my Thursday night preview of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. With that said, I would probably have to pick the Packers to win. You don't really bet against Aaron Rodgers, especially in prime time, so that's mainly my reason for it. Let me know your pick on who you think is going to win this Thursday night football game. Put it down in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. Leave all questions, comments, topic suggestions down there in the comment section below. We'll answer any and all questions that you have as in-depth and accurately as possible. And remember, sports is supposed to be enjoyed together, so tell someone about us and watch together. Spread the word. We want to grow our community as much as possible and reach as far as we can. And in order to do that, you got to smash that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button so we keep trying to give you as much content as possible. And also, be sure to hit that notification bell. That way you get alerted of our content the second we upload it. That way you get the information as soon as possible. But lastly, God bless America and God bless fantasy football. Take care.